Welcome to Only a Podcast. Two blokes upside down and many miles from home talk about popular culture and unpopular culture too. Music, books, films, the news, what we had for dinner last night, anything goes. Apart from politics, probably. Hello everyone, welcome to episode 18 of Only a Podcast, the Elvis special-ish, a bit of Elvis content in there. Hello Captain, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right, Kia ora whanau. Yes, Elvis special because of the film, and we're going to be doing a little more conversation about Elvis.
Nice.
Yeah, we've both seen it, and we both have reckons.
Yeah.
I think we're going to do that in the second half.
Yeah.
Because we've got a bit of catching up to do with other stuff first.
Yeah, I got bloody loads on my list for this week. Nothing of any substance or whatever, but just stuff that I've been doing or stuff that has kind of come my way this week. Cool. So shall I start? I'll just start. I've got a list here, so let's just go through it. So on the last episode, I mentioned a couple of books, or maybe it was the episode before. There was a Graham Coxon and a Pete Doherty memoir.
Yeah.
That's come along. Another one has come out, which is by Jarvis Cocker. I don't know if you've heard about this.
Yeah, it's on my Goodreads. I really want to read this book list.
Yeah. It's called Good Pop, Bad Pop, and there is a little YouTube clip of him kind of talking about it. It's from, I think it's Penguin Books. It's on their YouTube channel, and I think from what I can gather, he kind of went through a load of his stuff. You know, he had a load of memorabilia, stuff that he's kept over the years, and there's a lot of that kind of stuff in the book. So yeah, it's Jarvis. Everyone loves Jarvis, don't they? So that's another one for the to read list, which is getting longer and longer. I'm not actually looking at what I've written down here today. I've not actually been reading at all lately, which is pretty bad. But there we go. I've got a couple of earworms, which I just want to share with you. So hopefully you'll get the same earworms. So I've got a tradie. Or workman, as they call it where I come from. I've got a tradie in at the moment in the bathroom. And there's a chap called a jib stopper, which we don't really have them as far as I know back in the UK.
That's just a plasterer.
It's a plasterer, right? But they're not quite as... I don't think they're quite as skilled as plasterers, from what I can gather. They call them jib stoppers, pound shop plasterers, basically. So so I've got here come the jib stopper to the tune of Here Come the yacht stepper. Okay. So and they're putting in once a jib is stopped, there's a new shower going in, and there's a shower liner that's going in. So I've got O shower liner to Shaggy's O Carolina. So that's my earworms for the week. Yeah, very pleasant. There's a film coming out called The Glove. It's not coming out anytime soon, but it's starting production. It's called The Glove, and it stars Vic Reeves and Bob and many faces from his world that you'll know. And it's a film. It's called The Glove, and from what I can see, it's Michael Jackson's glove has gone missing, so it's a road movie to go in search of Michael Jackson's sequin glove. But significantly, it's going to be the end of the Vic Reeves character, because Vic Reeves, that's not his real name, it's Jim Moyer, he's his real name, but he's performed as Vic Reeves for a long, long time. This will be the last we ever hear of Vic Reeves, apparently. So that's something to look out for at some point in the future.
He's very active on Instagram still, isn't he? Because he is with his art. He paints birds, and he has a couple of other lines that he paints.
His art is brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm big fan of I've always been a big fan of Vic and Bob, always. Since very, very early 90s, I suppose, wasn't it? Yeah. Late 80s, probably. Yeah,
that was a bit of a lightning bolt on the TV, with Big Night Out and things like that. So this is completely new, I think.
It was. It was
slightly bizarre.
Yeah, it was kind of the Monty Python generation, wasn't it? For the new generation, I guess. Yeah. I was probably about 20 years old, maybe, when that all happened. It was brilliant. Loved it. Tick. On the TV front, so there's a new season I talked about on earlier episodes of this, a show that we really enjoy called Only Murders in the Building. Steve Martin and co. A new season's just, I think they say dropped. A new season's just dropped on Disney Plus. The first couple of episodes are on there. So we'll be into that over the next few days. I'll report back next time on that. But first season was great. So get into that if you feel that way inclined.
I've only got the one TV thing to catch up on, and we're going to do it next time because Stranger Things has reached a point where there are 2 extended episodes to come, not out yet, and we've gone as far as we can with that until they come out. So next time it will be a full Stranger Things dissection.
Okay, and we may need to give a spoiler alert there as well. Maybe not.
It has been spoilt already by some of the cast that some of them are going to die. In strange and interesting ways, no doubt.
Well, right, okay. I was going to say we're all going to die, aren't we?
As to whether it's heroes, villains, or whatever, we don't know yet. So
maybe it's Vic Reeves that's going to die.
There's going to be some shocking stuff. So we'll see what happens in the coming week or so when we get the remaining episodes of Stranger Things.
Cool. I have finished a TV series this week, which was Obi Wan Kenobi.
You got there,
Disney Plus.
Yes.
Got there. It was only 6 episodes.
Yeah, I know.
And it was a storyline across 6 episodes. I don't think I'm giving any spoilers. A young Princess Leia. She's about 10 years old, I think. So this comes after the Revenge of the Sith. What was the last one? Comes after that one. Anyway. So Princess Leia has been kidnapped, and they get Obi Wan Kenobi out of retirement to go and try and get her back. I won't say any more than that. I enjoyed it. It was good. There was an epic fight scene in the last episode, possibly the best fight scene in the whole of the Star Wars canon, maybe. A one-on-one, a duel, if you like. Lightsabers were involved, of course. Yeah, it was a great old ding dong. I don't know if it was as good as the one between Obi-Wan and Anakin, where he ended up in the lava. I don't know if it's as good as that, but it's a good fight scene. So I enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Nice and easy going, really. I think it was a bit slow to get going. I think you thought that as well, didn't you? But
that's why I haven't persisted with it. But maybe we should, in a spare moment, get into it. But there's been lots of other stuff, as we know,
there is
to distract us.
There always is. So much media we have nowadays.
Yeah.
Don't we, really?
Yeah.
I've also got another recommendation here, which is something a bit different, really, which is a podcast, which I found out about as my work, my day job. I do have a job. I don't do this for a living, guys, believe it or not. Imagine. I am getting more and more into cybersecurity. That's kind of the thing I'm into these days. And I'm doing lots of reading on the subject and all that kind of thing. And this podcast called The Lazarus Heist keeps coming up. So I thought, I need to check that out. So I'm on episode 5. It's only 6 episodes long. It's like a set piece. It's done by the BBC World Service. So it's pretty good, production values and what have you. And it is about North Korea and how they... you remember the attack on Sony a few years ago, 2016, or it started with that, and that was North Korea, and other subsequent attacks, and really, really interesting. If you're interested in stuff like that, I suppose you could call it a true crime podcast. It's got that feel to it, that sort of vibe about it. But it's quite relevant, to all of us. Good. I'd say if you like that sort of thing, have a little listen to the Lazarus Heist. I'm getting through my list. I'll talk about Paul McCartney at Glastonbury first. Did you see this, Captain?
Yeah.
So Dave Grohl, obviously.
Dave Grohl, the Ron Wood of our, as we said before.
Ron Wood for millennials, yeah.
Always loves a butt-in. And a classic one there. I saw her standing there and...
Band on the Run.
Band on the Run, there you go.
Because Foo Fighters regularly do that in their set, I think. That's a mainstay for him. So, but then another special guest, which I don't think anyone was expecting.
No.
The boss, Bruce.
On comes Bruce. to do Glory Days, and again, memory fails.
What did they do? Standing There. Was that the one you just said?
Nah, I just said that.
It was. Come on, what was it? Can't remember. Anyway, a Beatles song.
Yeah.
Yeah, great stuff. I think the whole set was about 2.5 hours, over 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
I think the response has been universally great, hasn't it, to Macca's set? A few questions, as we've talked about before, a few questions around maybe the quality of his singing, but the dude's 80 years old, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's on a world tour, he's 80 years old, and I think it's all right. He's Paul McCartney, he can get away with it.
I think the overall feeling about the Glastonbury thing, the things I've watched, it just looks this year like everybody's glad to be there. I know it may normally look like that, but I think there's an extra special level of wonderfulness about the whole thing. I don't know whether I would ever consider going these days, but just everybody seemed to be getting really into it, and a lot of the performances that I watched were outstanding. And did you see Olivia Rodrigo and Lily Allen coming on?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
to do View. That was a great moment.
It's all. I mean, I always watch it on TV. I've never been to Glastonbury. I've been to a few things like that, Reading and so on. Never really wanted to go to Glastonbury. I think I would now. If I obviously a bit of a trek for me now, but I think I would go now. It just looks great when you watch it on telly. Obviously, you're getting all the best sound quality and all that, and you're sitting on your sofa.
Yeah, there's no mud.
There's no mud, because you are dependent on the weather. But I think I'd go if the opportunity came. But put it on the telly and enjoy yourself. Get some bastard with a big flag to stand in front of you so you can't see your telly.
Yeah, there is that.
And pay 10 quid for a warm beer, and it's Glastonbury in your living room. So sorry about going on there. I had a load of stuff that's been, and I've really got into the habit of writing stuff down when it comes up now, because I always think we're not going to have enough to talk about here, and we always do. Yeah. So I've been to the cinema twice, 2 weekends in a row.
Yeah, good.
So I'll talk about the first one first, because it's something I mentioned on the last episode, a film called Nude Tuesday, which is a New Zealand film. And I'll just explain the premise of the film again. So the script writers wrote the script. It's about a middle-aged couple whose marriage has gone off the boil, shall we say. So they end up at this New Age weekend retreat to rekindle their love life, and there's a guru there played by Jermaine Clement. But the twist is, all the actors didn't actually read the script. They all spoke in gibberish. Just you couldn't understand a word they were saying, and the whole film was done like that. They knew what they were saying, but they weren't saying it, if you know what I mean. So they were almost kind of miming, if you like, trying to get their point across. But when the film was finished, it was then handed over to. I've since found this out. It was actually Julia Davis. I don't know if you know who that is, Captain. You do, right? Yeah. Brilliant. She's a genius. It was handed over to Julia Davis to write the subtitles. Yeah. Her not knowing what it was.
Further level of meta.
A further level of meta,
on the comedy.
Exactly. So you've gone from a script to no scripts to subtitles. So some of the the lines are way out there. It's like, whoa, you weren't expecting that. And it was brilliant. It was just brilliant. Absolutely recommend everyone should see this film. It was so good. A lot of nudity in it. It's not really one for the kids. Well, I suppose it is. If kids like nudity, why not? It was as I said, I think every so often down here we produce a really great piece of cinema or TV, and this is one of them, I think. So if you haven't seen it yet, I suggest you go see it, everyone. That brings us on to the main bit of the show, Elvis. So if you don't know, if you've been living under a rock, a new movie has come out by Baz Luhrmann. About the life of Elvis and his manager, Colonel Tom Parker. I think you've got quite a bit to say on this, Captain, more so than me, so I'll let you take it from here.
Well, we can do some Elvis starter pack things after talking about the film, basically. But a 2-hour, 40-minute blockbuster, seen by me, fortunately, in the Titan XC cinema in New Lynn.
What's that then?
It's freaking huge, man. They run a little trailer before you go in about how impressive the sound system is, and look at this, and here's this bass, and you can hear this, can't you? They're very proud of the cinema, and they were, it probably seats about 300, and there are about 12 people in it. But if you want a big screen, there you go. So it was good to see it on that.
That's interesting, because we went to the Rialto, which is an old cinema in Dunedin, but it's actually there's 3 cinemas in Dunedin. There's the big sort of multiplex jobby, the Reading, whatever it's called. There's the Rialto, and there's a little tiny one. But I didn't know, but the screen at the Rialto is actually the biggest cinema screen in Dunedin, which is quite interesting, because you'd think the big multiplex would have that. And I think it was out on IMAX as well. That would have been something else. Yeah. Anyway, carry on. Sorry. Because with the Baz Luhrmann film, you want to see it big, I think, because it's just directorially, visually overpowering. I think in a lot of places, you know what he does. He does the jangle, he does the gold and the glitter and the fireworks and the graphic overlays. It's all very camp and kitchen sink, man. If there's an effect to be used, the man's going to use it, and he does. And I was a bit worried about it, as you know, as I keep saying, I could worry about these things greatly, but he obviously went for maximum entertainment. Historical accuracy, well, I'm going to give him about 8 out of 10 on that, because there were a couple of things that weren't quite right. You know, a song's played essentially before they'd been released, but used as plot points. So when Elvis gets dangerous and angry, at one point on stage he sings Trouble, which hadn't come out by then, and when there are suspicious minds in the plot, I'm not going any further than that. Hey Ho, Suspicious Minds is in the soundtrack. So there are little things like that you can, if you're an idiot like me who knows all these things, you can pick up on. But it didn't detract from it one bit, really, in the end. You were just not distracted, but what's the word? You were too busy looking at. You were too busy looking at all the good stuff. Yeah, it was fully engaging. I mean, normally, it was. For films that long, you do look at your watch at some point, don't you? Usually,
I just flew by. To be honest, we came out and we went. Was that 2 hours 40 minutes? No, it wasn't.
Exactly. Yeah,
it actually rushed past.
I should say we dragged the kids along as well. Yeah. So my girls are 12 and 14. Unusual names for girls, I know, but. They loved it, and especially my 14-year-old, she wants to go see it again, and it's really not her thing at all. But she really liked it. So it's something there for everyone. Yeah. And the modern warning, folks, it's not just Elvis songs. There are some mashups of various things with Doja Cat and one or two other of those modern artists. But they are, which makes it more accessible to people. It does. That's all. People go, oh yeah, that's so-and-so. Yeah, because it's just incidental music. It's not performances or anything, is it? But it's just, he's walking down the street and there's some modern track playing in the background and things like that. So it made it. I mean, the strict performance bits are unmessed with. It cuts to Elvis on stage in Las Vegas when he's doing the outdoor gigs earlier in his career. They don't mess with the songs when they're doing that. No, it's as you say, it's incidental music that goes along. That they're using his songs and mutating them into a bit more of a modern slant, which is fine. That's okay. You get to learn a lot quite quickly about the history of rock and roll and music as it existed pre-Elvis. I don't know if there was quite as much of his. If he was sneaking into churches and all that kind of thing, rather than it just being Yeah, I mean,
where he lived and surrounded him. It was all very sort of
again, there was
figurative. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, exactly. There was artistic license because he was looking peeking through a gap in the wall in that shack where there was a blues party going on with these. And then 20 metres away across the road, there's a gospel service going on, and they invite him in, and he sings
saved.
So it's metaphorical, isn't it? The point is he was raised in that world, wasn't he? Which for a young white boy was quite unusual. He was very much not where you'd expect to find young white boys at that time in that place, and obviously it went deep, and. Well, the rest is history, really. I thought the actor was fantastic. Austin Butler.
Yeah, absolutely great.
I thought he was brilliant. Did he sing the songs? I think he did, didn't he?
Yep, he did.
Yeah,
Again,
brilliant.
that's a thing that we were talking about with Pistol, where they got the guys to sing that. And another nuggets of information that I dug out there, Craig Pearce, the guy who wrote Pistol series that we talked about in the last episode, also co-wrote. He is a Baz Luhrmann collaborator and co-wrote Elvis as well. So maybe some parallels there that can be drawn between the shock of the Pistols in the 70s and the shock of Elvis
in the 50s.
In the mid 50s, a similar kind of groundbreaking stuff going on.
Good spot.
Yeah,
and I mean the film, it moved along at a fair old lick because they have to, don't they?
You've got
they
to.
Completely glossed over his film career, didn't they? They just did a montage of all the movie posters, and that was it. So you never really saw any of the film stuff, did you?
No,
not really.
We come to that in a minute, I guess, but no, that was 7 years of a void as far as the film was concerned, and generally speaking, in terms of my interest in Elvis, pretty much of a void for me too. There was obviously some things going on, but the point of that whole thing was that after he came out of the army, the colonel had sewn it up so tight to do these things, which were the easiest things possible to make the most money as quickly as possible. And in the end became even a travesty of filmmaking where, Elvis would discover, or the colonel would discover, that Elvis could use cue cards, and they would cut down their film time for a whole movie to 12 weeks because he just didn't have to learn anything. There were no false starts, but it turned out just to be rubbish. And fairly, gloss over those 7 years. Do it, because there's far more interesting stuff. To be discovered and was.
What do you think of Tom Hanks or his performance?
Great performance. I haven't listened to recordings of the Colonel to see whether the accent was as irritating as that. But you've got to trust Tom Hanks with with a role, haven't you? The man's
safe pair of hands.
The man's a pretty good actor when all said and done. I saw him on. I did a couple of interviews that he was on. What was he on? Was on Colbert. And one or two other shows, and he actually made me more interested to go and see it, having listened to him being interviewed by various American chat shows. But pretty good all round, and we were spotting some of the minor actors. The guy who played the young boy in Power of the Dog was Hank Snow Jr. My daughter was spotting actors. A guy who was in Stranger Things, the last series, was actually the show organizer for the combat special. We were nudging each other. It's that guy. Right. So there are all these little. But other than Mr. Hanks, no interplanetary superstars in it.
No, Austin Butler.
A young cast that all did well.
Austin Butler was in a Tarantino film, wasn't he?
I think
one of the crap Tarantino films. There aren't many of those, but I think he was in one. And wasn't he a bit of a child star?
I think so.
Disney Channel kind of one of those sorts of things, maybe. But he was really good. I thought Tom Hanks was great. He got it about right. I think the makeup department did really well to age Elvis from being a very young teenager to being to the very end.
I like the. Oh, is that going to be a spoiler?
He dies.
Days,
he dies. By the way,
no.
Spoiler alert.
Yes. But the last days and the last sort of vocal performance in the film by Elvis cut to
the real Elvis.
Yeah. So you could see just what he was like.
Well, you know what? It's funny you say that, because when that bit came on, so it was his last public performance. It's not really a spoiler, is it? But when that bit came on, I was like, oh, they've actually got a clip of the real Elvis. Then he turned his head, and it wasn't. It was still Austin Butler. I was like, wow, that makeup is incredible. Yeah. And then it cut to the real Elvis, and they absolutely nailed it. Really good. I assume it was all makeup. I don't guess they used any, fancy CGI or anything, did they?
Well, maybe it was CGI.
Maybe it was, because they did Peter Cushing, didn't they?
Yeah.
Maybe it was. I don't know. I assume it's makeup. Maybe it wasn't, because they absolutely nailed it, didn't they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was unnoticeable if you weren't awake.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Or if you weren't looking for that kind of thing, you would just think it was much of a. It was all the same, but very cunning.
Yeah. So cool. Sad end. My other half was blubbing her eyes out at the end. She didn't really know the Elvis story. She knew he died, obviously, but she didn't know it was, quite a sad story. Although we did, and I think it's the right decision by Baz. We didn't really see him. Well, it all happened behind closed doors anyway, so we wouldn't know. But we didn't really see him when he was at his lowest. Towards the end, we never saw any of that. Which is probably good. We don't want to see that. It'd be depressing. But likewise, what we also didn't see was what a laugh he was. He was such a laugh, Elvis. And I think he was, you see him on stage, messing around with the backing singers and, just having a laugh, cracking jokes and taking the piss out of himself. You never saw a lot of that. And how generous he was. I mean, he used to give cars away to his crew, didn't he? And
there wasn't quite enough of that in there. But if you read the books, it's not just that, At one point, I don't know, had he been doing a cowboy movie or something like that, may have followed up from that. But it's like he bought them all horses and he bought a ranch for them to go and ride the horses.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's do this.
The Memphis Mafia, yeah.
Which is why the Memphis Mafia hung around. There's a tale entirely in itself about the Memphis Mafia and what they were and how they played off against each other and what they did. But they were his emotional support.
Yeah, that's right.
People.
Yeah.
About 8 or 9 of them at times. You did soak up the money quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So we did see some of the decline with the sort of upside down world he lived in when he was in the
hotel,
Vegas, and doing those tours. 2 shows a night. You get to the end of that. You get to the end of the second show. You're completely high on adrenaline. What do? You go to the casino and you party with your mates.
Yeah.
And then you come around at 5 p.m. the following day. You're asleep. You've got to be up. What do? Dr. Nick comes in with his magic needles, and then off you go again.
Off you go.
And a consequence of being drugged to go to sleep and being drugged to wake up.
Yeah.
Doesn't help.
That's not sustainable, is it, really?
It's not conducive to a life, basically.
No.
But we did see that in a small way, I think.
Yeah, all in all,
it's
great film, I thought. Good solid 4 stars for that.
Yeah.
I'll watch it again when it comes around, for sure.
Yeah, I think so. We can pick small holes in it, but as a prime piece of entertainment, and then get out there and see it. The 2 Guardian reviewers, Peter Bradshaw and Mark Kermode gave it 5 stars. Yeah. And Bradshaw gave it 2.
Yep. Yeah, that's right.
Which may well be. You may go in and go, well, it's a 2-star movie. I didn't really think it was. I think it should have done this and done that and done the other.
Yeah.
But my advice would be to just take your brain out on holiday for a while.
Baz Luhrmann. It's Baz Luhrmann. You're there to be entertained, get a large popcorn and sit back and enjoy yourself. It's great.
If you've seen Moulin Rouge before and you haven't seen the Elvis film yet, you kind of know what's coming.
Right. I think it's
visually.
Visually. It's not quite as out there as Moulin Rouge, is it? Maybe,
no, not quite.
No, not quite. But all good, all good. Right. Good. Right,
So
we got through that lot. Have you got a few recommendations to make Elvis-wise?
I thought we could do a quick. It may not be quick. Well, yeah, it will.
That's
quickish. But sort of things that if you do go and see the Elvis film and you want to just know a bit more about it, you know, there's Googles out there and all that. But let's just have a think about a couple of things. There is a 2-volume essential Elvis book. Now, it's a lot of reading, I warn you. But if you want to know more about the life of Elvis, there's a chap called Peter Guralnick. Anything Peter Guralnick writes is absolutely brilliant on music. But he wrote the 2 essential Elvis books, Last Train to Memphis, The Rise of Elvis Presley, and Careless Love, The Unmaking of Elvis Presley. Careless Love is basically post-army, if I remember. The slightly more interesting one is The Rise. But both of those are great, if large. We tell you everything you need to know about Elvis. We talked about the films earlier on being terrible. They weren't all terrible. Some of them were entertainment. And if you want to see an Elvis film, I'm going to put my finger in the air and pluck out King Creole. Go and see King Creole. It's all right. It's a noirish New Orleans affair. It's got some good tunes. The title track, and Trouble, and Hard-Headed Woman. It's got a good cast. And Walter Matthau's in it, for God's sake.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Although I will say that Anne Margaret's co-starring in Viva Las Vegas is a sight to behold. So so you can watch that too. Of the concert films, there's quite a few. Elvis, That's the Way It is a more sort of documentary-oriented one, I think, with all that kind of split-screen stuff that Baz was doing.
Oh, yeah.
You know where he got that from. He got it from Elvis The Way It Is. So that's pretty good to watch if you want a sort of an indication of what Elvis was like at the start of, or pretty much near the start of doing those the Vegas shows, all the big shows in entertainment halls. And finally, folks, we come to the things you should listen to. Whoa. The thing that sort of blew me away to start with is we're talking 1953 when he started doing stuff. It's coming up for 70 years ago, folks. I mean, just comparatively speaking, the absolute dark ages of recording. You know, there hadn't been much done by that time. You know, in any kind of sophisticated way. Sun Records opened in 1950. Crikey! So I'd certainly advise you to grab some kind of Sun Sessions compilation. There's one on Spotify called Sunrise, but there's more than enough of them. That's All Right, Blue Moon of Kentucky, Baby Let's Play House, I'm Left, You're Right, She's Gone, Trying to Get to You. It's the genesis of Elvis, and nothing sounds quite like it, even now. The guys in the studio, Scotty Moore, Bill Black, DJ Fontana, in the band, they know they've got something, but they don't quite know what it is. And Sam thinks, this is interesting, I'll just capture this, lightning in a bottle, and it turned out all right. Next thing to listen to, 1956, the first RCA album, Elvis Presley, it's called, strangely enough. It's the one that the Clash ripped off for the cover of London Calling.
Yep.
Blue Suede Shoes, I've Got a Woman, I Love You Because, Tutti Frutti, Trying to Get to You. I mean, you know, it's all great.
Decent tunes, yeah,
decent. And at the risk of getting all Alan Partridge on you, I am going to recommend
the best.
It's not quite a best of Elvis, but it's a compilation. It's on CD. But there are various playlists on Spotify of Elvis 56, it's called. And if you want to buy one Elvis record, if you can find Elvis 56, still exists as a CD somewhere, maybe, get it. It's just 20, I think, world-beating things. Heartbreak Hotel, Don't Be Cruel, Hound Dog, Ready Tay, you know, all that. Brilliant.
In my house as a kid, we had Elvis, I think it was called something like 40 Golden Greats.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And it's still on Spotify, and they've still got the same artwork. But yeah, I used to play that to death as a kind of probably 7, 8, 9-year-old or something, I suppose. I remember when he died. I was only 7 or 8 years old. I remember it happening. It was a big deal, wasn't it?
Yeah, but, 1977.
It was called 40 Golden Greats.
Just almost 17.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. A couple more things you should listen to. Coming out of the army, strangely, an album is called Elvis is Back.
Right.
The first post-army record is obviously bursting to do something, for God's sake.
Yep.
Fever, The Girl of My Best Friend, Reconsider Baby, where Elvis does blues. Throughout his entire life, pretty much. Elvis could do the blues properly. A lot of you see that in a Baz Luhrmann film about his influences with B.B. King and Little Richard and
because all those characters were in that film. We forgot to mention B.B. King, Sister Rosetta was in there.
Sister Rosetta Tharpe,
Little Richard,
Tharpe, Big Mama Thornton.
Yep.
He got his influences from all those guys, and he could always do the blues.
Yeah.
And the singles around that time are just great. Never mind the album, Mess of Blues. It's Now or Never, Stuck on You. Oh, yeah, crikey.
Great stuff, eh? Great stuff.
And a couple more. I'd speed it up here a little bit. But the 68 NBC TV special, To Be Watched.
Yep.
Large chunks of that in the Baz Luhrmann movie.
Yep.
He'd spent, as we said, 7 years doing films and soundtracks. It was quite astonishing to realise that for those 7 years he did no live performance whatsoever. So he was obviously bursting to do this stuff.
You can tell, can't you? That show.
You can tell he's bursting to do it. You can tell, and I think Butler got this over as well. You can tell how nervous he was about doing it. Yeah. As well as being really keen. And some of it's all good. Some of it is very TV special-y, as you would expect. Yeah. But some of it is extraordinary in the round performances when he's in the leather suit. Yeah. The bit where he's standing up and he does, which was in the film, and there's also a bit where he gets the lads on stage and they all sit round, as they did, and they bash out some acoustic things, and Charlie Freeman, I think it is tapping on or is it DJ? They're tapping on a guitar case for the percussion, that's right. And they just knock stuff out, and he's loving it. He's absolutely loving it. Yeah, it's on YouTube actually. Someone's put together a playlist of the 68 comeback special, so you can play it in order on YouTube. Great. Make sure it's got the videos, it's got the films, film bits. That's what you want to see. You want to see it visually as well as just the soundtrack. Yeah. The closing, and they do the closing, If I Can Dream, which again is an extraordinary, overwrought. He's almost giving it too much. But it shows you how much he wanted to do it. And this is a key for all of the things I suggest. It's the things he wanted to do rather than the things he was contracted to do. Yep. There were times, especially doing the film soundtracks, that the Colonel would not let anyone else suggest songs to Elvis. He had to do it from a publishing company and the things they gave him. And he hated large proportions of it. But he was contracted to do a soundtrack album, and that's what he had to do. So my last one, Another Thing You Should Buy, 1969, from Elvis in Memphis. A great album, expanded upon on the CD. He wanted to do that. The producers were sympathetic. He had a great band, which moved on to be his support band on stage, in part at least, sometimes in whole. And the CD is the one, In the Ghetto, Long Black Limousine, Suspicious Minds, Kentucky Rain. Oh, fantastic stuff. Yeah, absolutely fantastic, atmospheric, soulful Elvis. So there you go. Wow. That's some suggestions. Get yourself some Elvis. Too many suggestions. No, it's all good. That's all great stuff. People should be listening to this stuff. Yeah. Okay, so I've got a little bit of a surprise for you now. A few years ago, I was in a couple of different bands with my good friend Justine, and she wrote this great song called It's All Right, Presley. It was about her kind of childhood memories of Elvis, really. And I think she really captured the essence of Elvis in this song. So luckily back then we recorded it. So stick around till the end and you can hear it. It's great. It's a beautiful song. So I hope you like it. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for listening. That was a good one, that. Lots of Elvis stuff from the Captain there, stuff I never knew.
Lots of
nerd, you see.
Yeah, a lot of nerdy stuff and a lot of crap from me at the start. So I think we got a show out of it, a bit longer than a normal one, but that's because it's a special, so you get more for your money on a special.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So without further ado, I think Only a Podcast should leave the building. Say thank you very much, Captain.
Thank you very much, Captain.
Thank you very much. Okay, folks. See you next time. Thanks for listening. Bye now.
See you, folks.
Green leafy lanes I walk, time with a chin. I hear you humming. Warm my face up in the sun. The day is undone. I might start a dreaming. You were there at the start. I still feel the fluttering in my heart. Kind of true. Don't let me be blue. My summertime song. You're with me in a warm night as I sit there tight, watching clouds creeping. When the stars start to appear, I have no fear, 'cause you're right on there with me. You are there at the start. I still feel the fluttering in my heart. It's alright, yeah, it's alright. You're my summertime song. You're the words I listen to. I'm just me when I'm with you. Oh, there's no hills I need to climb. Now I just feel like this all the time. It's alright, it's alright, yeah, it's alright, it's alright, it's alright, my love, it's alright. I found you first when I was young. You made me feel well, you made me feel stronger. Presley, I cannot be blue for every day when I listen to you singing. You were there at the start. I still feel the fluttering in my heart. It's alright, yeah, it's alright. You're my summertime song. It's alright, yeah, it's alright. You're my summertime song.
You've been listening to Only a Podcast. If you'd like to get in touch and share your feedback and ideas, we'd love to hear from you. Go to onlyapodcast.com, or you can find us at Only a Podcast on Twitter and Instagram, or via our Facebook page. Remember, it's only a podcast.